India's Prime Minister Indira Gandhi resented Sikh leaders for their opposition during the state of emergency she had declared in 1975. Mrs. Gandhi and her Congress party were determined to find a way of dividing Sikh politicians in the Punjab.
Now, the idea was to produce a Sikh leader unbeknown to him and to project him as an extreme militant who, it appeared, or it should appear, was articulating the concerns of all Sikhs.
Around this time, a Sikh revivalist movement led by a charismatic preacher called Janal Singh Bhindranwale swept the Punjab. In 1983, Bhindranwale and his armed followers took over the Akal Takht building in the Golden Temple complex. For the Sikhs, the Akal Takht is second only in importance to the sacred Harmandir Sahib itself. Law and order in the Punjab continued to deteriorate. On the 2nd of June 1984, Mrs. Gandhi finally decided to remove Bhindranwale and his men. Rather than sending in the police, she sent in the army during one of the Golden Temple's major religious events.
The timing of the assault on the Golden Temple was, in one word, diabolical. Now, don't forget that Punjab at this stage was saturated with intelligence agencies and their agents and moles. Are we expected to believe that they completely overlooked the fact that it's the birth anniversary of the founder of the Golden Temple, Guru Arjan Dev, and timed the assault at that time, when pilgrims are coming from all over the world to be there on that hallowed occasion?
Inside the complex was Surinder Kaur Nanda, the wife of the Golden Temple's information officer.
We had no idea that the army would attack the Golden Temple, because everybody comes to Golden Temple to say their prayers and to bow their heads before the Guru Granth Sahib.
A media blackout was imposed as the army readied itself for what it codenamed Operation Bluestar.
We heard noises of bombardment at Akal Takht, noises of people dying. They were crying with pain, and we heard noises of shoes of army men entered in the Golden Temple. They entered the Golden Temple along with their shoes. They didn't care for any respect, regard, or anything.
I think the army misled Mrs. Gandhi in assuring her that the operation would be over in a couple of hours, or perhaps never take place. If there was show of arms, Bhindranwale would surrender. Well, he didn't. He fought back like a tiger.
Finally, the army was given permission to fire on the Akal Takht, where Bhindranwale was holed up. The tide turned against the militants, but at great cost to the sacred building. Bhindranwale's body was found on the night of June the 6th. Exactly how he died remains a mystery. Weapons allegedly recovered from the militants were displayed to the world. The casualties were not. Official figures for the fatalities were 83 soldiers and 492 militants and civilians, including 30 women and 5 children. Unofficial estimates went into the thousands.
When we came out, we saw lying dead bodies here and there. A bad smell was coming out. I was feeling very sad. Our people had attacked Indian people. Yes, our government had attacked Indians.
ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਭੁਲਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਣ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੋਕ ਰਾਜੀ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੋਵੇ, ਉੱਥੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਬਾਉਣ ਲਈ 9 ਡਿਵੀਜ਼ਨ ਫੌਜ ਚੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਾਵੇ ਉਹ ਛੋਟੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਕੰਪਲੈਕਸ ਤੇ, ਤੇ ਇਦੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ 'ਚ ਕੋਈ ਸਦਮਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ, ਬਹੁਤ ਦੁੱਖ ਹੈ।
When Mrs. Gandhi was assassinated, somebody rang me up to tell me what had happened. At that time, I wasn't sure who'd killed her. But soon after, by the afternoon, one learned that it was her own security guards who were both Sikhs. It was at night that mobs started coming round, all on trucks with cans of oil, petrol, matches, iron rods. There were cab ranks. They were all mainly run by Sikhs. They burnt up their taxis, and I watched the mob come, burn up Sikh shops. There were armed policemen standing by, doing nothing. It was a greater shock for me, because I felt really that this is what a Jew in Nazi Germany must have felt, that I, an Indian, became a refugee in my own country.
Some of the worst violence took place in Trilokpuri, a suburb of Delhi where Sikhs and Hindus lived in close quarters.
हिंदुस्तानी कहण लगे हुण सरदारां नूं अहीं छड्डना नहीं तां अग्गों अहीं तो इहो सोचिया अहीं कहा भी ये तो मां सारियां दी सीगी इंदिरा गांधी चलो राज करदी सीगी सारियां वास्ते एक सीगी
ओनू खिच के ले आए अंदरों खिच के तो ओनू एक डंडा मारिया सी ओनू फिर जिंदे नू जलाया सी फिर मेरी कुड़ी छोटी सी मेरे गोदी विच तो जिस तरह मैं अपने आदमी नू बचाण गई तो मैनू खिच के तो इस तरह सुट दिता कहता तू बई एनू वे हटो ते मेरी कुड़ी भी उठ चुक के तो थले सुट दी सी फिर ओदे बाद उन्हें जिंदे नू साड़ दिता सी ते 18 जो छोटा मुंडिया सी 10-12 साल दा ओनू भी मारिया 6-7 लाशां इकट्ठी करके एक दूजे ते तो फिर ओनू साड़ दिता
जबरदस्ती उत्ते बुलाया उत्ते बुला के इन्हां नूं धक्का दे दिता उत्तों सुटता उत्तों ही मिट्टी का तेल पा के सरिये अपने तलवारां नलके दियां हत्थियां इन्हां नाल मारन डै पे फिर भी जिद्दां भी सीगे उस तो बाद मैनूं पता चलिया बच्चों ने लैके मैं तो थल्ले सांगी जो मैनूं पता चलिया उन्होंने तो मिट्टी का तेल पा के जो लाता है भी तिल्ली लगाई है तरले लैन डै पे कहते मैनूं छड्ड दो मेरा बच्चा इक्को ही है पर मैनूं छड्ड दो बहुत तरले ले
The Congress party is entirely and completely responsible for what happened in Delhi after Mrs. Gandhi's assassination. The killings, the burnings, the lootings, the rape, that is entirely due to the Congress party. They controlled the federal government in the center, and they controlled the Delhi administration. Everything was under them. It could have been stopped in one day.
By the time of Mrs. Gandhi's funeral, most of the violence had subsided, but senior members of her Congress party were accused not merely of negligence, but of actual complicity in the killings.
What was very clear was that there was a certain sort of methodology in the way the mobs moved. It was not at random. If Sikh houses were singled out, they had already been listed. And those lists you could get from the municipal corporation. Which properties where, who's paying how much tax, what number on what street, who's living.
As we found, police elsewhere in the city seem to prefer to stand by. Just 50 yards from police lines here, Hindu youths began stoning a Sikh building. Already people's grief is turning to anger. Here we've got a mob of Hindus attacking a Sikh premises in the middle of Delhi. The police are nowhere to be seen. And this sort of situation is expected to get worse, indeed to be repeated across the country, particularly after her funeral on Saturday. Ken Rees, ITN, Delhi. Sikhs drive most of the taxis in Delhi, and they were a major target for the mobs today. Sikh temples also came under attack. At the main temple in the center of the city, a Hindu mob threw stones and tried but failed to get into the building.